the 3 weeks, the avelos that we have for the Churban, there are different levels of the avelos. We have the 3 weeks, then we have 9 days, then we have what's called Shavua Shechalboi, the actual week that Tisha B'Av falls out in, which is even more chama, more strict. Then you have Zayin Tisha B'Av, is when the Yuvanim, when the Romans actually came inside in the Beis HaMikdash. So the beginning of the 3 weeks Shavasa B'Tammuz is when the wall, the siege was broken, and they broke in, but they didn't reach the Beis HaMikdash till Zayin.
This is the first expecting thing?
The second.
The second.
Well, I'll tell you like this. Tisha B'Av is a day when both Batei Mikdashis were destroyed. Regarding Zayin, I know that was a Gabi the second. I don't think it's a Gabi the first. Zayin, it says they entered the Beis HaMikdash. It took them time. There was fighting until they got.
There was more known about the
HaMikdash.
second Batei Mikdash than the first. Am I correct?
More mourning?
More of what went on.
Yeah. More what went on. We have in Tanakh, we have about the first Beis HaMikdash. The Maaseh Chazal say, there is a pasuk. There's a Gemara which there is a pasuk. The pasuk says. Before we go to this pasuk, we'll go like this. We have the 3 weeks. We have the 9 days. We're starting with Chodesh Av. The Mishnah says Mishanichas Av V'Mayitim B'Simcha. Right. So we start to decrease in Simcha. The Mishnah in Tainus. Then we go into the Shua Shechalvei, the actual week that Tisha B'Av falls out in.
But
then we go into...
Isn't the original thing Shua Shechalvei? It's only the Ramah, no? I don't know, that added on the 9 days, right?
Yeah.
What about the 3 weeks? Does the Mechaber Shulchan Aruch have a 3 weeks thing?
The 3 weeks is also not clear in Shulchan Aruch.
That's why I'm asking, because the Sfardim don't have it.
No.
I know
the
they
3 weeks.
They get married in
the 3 weeks are not clear. In Shulchan Aruch.
Ashkenazim this year has Shavua Shechalvei. Sfaradim won't make it because Nitcha. You know that?
This year they're because this week is not the Shavua Shechalvei.
If Shabbos was supposed to be Tisha B'Av, so the Shavua before Shabbos is the Shavua Shechalvei. But because it's Nitcha,
they're more makel with Shavua Shechalvei.
Yeah.
So they eat meat or no?
No.
They don't eat, but I'm saying in general.
Well, it's actually like this. Meat, now, then you have Tisha B'Av itself. Then when we go back to the night of Tisha B'Av, Moitzoi Tisha B'Av, till Chatzois, the next day, it still has a status of the 9 days. Mm-hmm. Till Chatzois of the next day, we still don't eat meat or wine. Wine. Right, we wait till after Chatzois.
It's like Ba'omer, Sfaradim wait till Lamed Dalet Omer, and then you can take Hairkaya. You don't wait
against meat. As wine is stronger as against meat?
Meat and wine are problematic. The Gemara, let's talk about when it comes to Gemara, the Gemara actually only has a problem with actually having meat and wine in the Suda Mafsekes. It's only about the final Suda. Shvua, Shechalvei, and Rish Chodesh are later on. Sfardim, already earlier on we have this Shvua Shechalvei is a clear din in Shulchan Aruch, the week after Machmer. On the other hand, Ashkenazim accepted already from a Chodesh Av. The minig was to Aser. I saw recently at Shuvah, there's some Sfarim deal with in Kehillas where some, if they won't, the Fleishik restaurants won't be open, or they won't be, the butcher shop won't be open. What will happen with some people might, maybe they'll eat something at Aser or something like that. So therefore, the Chachamim in certain places were matter, especially also you have Sfardim that are eating Fleishiks. From the Rish Chodesh. From Rish Chodesh until Shvua Shechalvei to be more meko with having the...
How about Chesron Kis?
The fact that Torah require halacha, there's a lot of chesar and kiss to keep Torah. You lose money. It costs money to keep halacha. Until the Suda Mafsekes?
Only a month, yeah.
Because that's the only thing clear. That's the only thing clear in the Mishnah. It's Suda Mafsekes. You have to stop eating wine.
Wine is as strong
I think so. By the way, this year the Seder we make Havdalah Sunday night. Because Motzei Shabbos, we stop eating, we have our Suda Mafsekes on Shabbos. I have a big Shalosh, we daven Mincha early, and have a big Shalosh Shudas. And on Shabbos, you don't show any Avelos.
No sitting on the floor.
No sitting on the floor, no the egg. We have a regular meal, so really Suda Shalishis, in the Gunim, it's regular. You're not supposed to maybe make something extra special, big huge Simcha, but regular normal Shabbos. And then, but Shkia comes, you have to stop eating. But you don't take off your shoes, because the Avelos, until Motzei Shabbos. They usually do as a shul schedule Ma'ariv, 10 minutes later. So people could, right. Because everyone stays home, no one's in shul between Mincha and Ma'ariv. Everyone goes home after Mincha and stays there until Shabbos is over, and you put on your slippers, and then you walk to shul. So you need to give time for people to come to shul. Keep on not sitting in shul.
I have a question. Why Hashem picked this month to make this? Why this month?
Why Av?
Yeah, why Av out of the whole year?
You know that what Menachem Av means? Menachem means the father is comforting his children. Menachem Av. That's the Eivish Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, is Menachem his children for Menachem Av. You know, we have to understand that B'chlal, the whole concept of the Chorban is only in order to bring about the Bayis HaShlishi. There's a Medrash, the Medrash says, Ola Aryeh, B'mazal Aryeh, B'chorev Ariel. Hashem is called an Aryeh lion, and the lion stood up. The Mazel Aryeh. In the Mazel, the month of the Mazel is Aryeh, lion. Destroyed the Beis Hamikdash is called Ariel, like a lion. And why is this? Amanas Sheyivna Ariel, in order that there should be the next Beis Hamikdash. Meaning it's all
Connected.
a destruction to build a even bigger building, a bigger, like it says in the pasuk says, Gadol yeh bayis hazeh ha'achim erishin. The second Beis Hamikdash is gonna be greater than the first Beis Hamikdash. And the Gemara says, how was it greater? The second Beis Hamikdash was greater in the fact that it was missing. It was more an extra 10 years. And it was also longer. It was 410, the first Beis Hamikdash. The second Beis Hamikdash was 420. It was also bigger in size, slightly bigger in size.
But the third one will come one piece from.
But the Zohar says that this pasuk also is not only alluding to the second Beis Hamikdash being better than the first one. The final Beis Hamikdash is going to be greater than the earlier two. Lamaisa, the shaila is what's pshat that we find. We find that it says that the second Beis Hamikdash of one hand is greater. On the other hand, we know that the second Beis Hamikdash was missing the Urim V'Tumim, missing the Aron. Right? It was missing the 5 things, and so it wasn't the same. On the other hand, we're saying the pasuk in Navi says Gadol yeh bayis ha'achim min harishin was greater. So what was it greater? That we had another 10 years, another few. It was a few amas bigger. What's the gadlush of that? So it's hard to understand. Al Pi Nigla, but Chassidus gives it a mahalach based on Kabbalah. What is the difference between Bayis Rishon and Bayis Sheni? Why do they have to be 2 Batei Mikdashes? There'd be one long Beis Hamikdash. Why do they have to be a Chorban in the middle, and then a Chorban later, and a Bayis HaShlishi? Each Beis Hamikdash represents a different level of godliness. What is the Beis Hamikdash? Beis Hamikdash is what we call Ashras HaShechina, the resting of the Shechina here in this world. I mean, this is the spot. Hashem is everywhere. He's not in one spot. Hashem has no form or body or no place where Hashem is supposed to be. He's omnipresent. He's everywhere. And when we say the Beis Hamikdash is Ashras HaShechina, means that's where it's revealed. That's where Hashem is revealed. Hashem is everywhere. Why do we say Tefillin are holy? Hashem is everywhere. What's Tefillin special? Because there it's revealed, the Kedusha. There this Kedusha is seen and felt. Hashem is everywhere, but we don't see and feel Him. During Shemoneh Esrei, during davening in general, especially Shemoneh Esrei, we're meant to feel the fact that we're Oyimid L'fnei HaMelech. We're standing in front of the King. And we take 3 steps forward, as we're going to speak to the king, we take 3 steps back. Reality is, we're always in front of Hashem. We're really always in front of Hashem. So a big tzaddik always feels that wherever they are, they always feel oy mid lufnei Hashem. We're not at that madrega. From us, it's demanded 3 times a day. We should stop and recognize that we are just finite, limited human beings. That Hashem gave us our lives, and we have to bow down to Hashem and recognize Hashem. So in those times during davening is when we're required to feel the oy mid lufnei Melech. But Kimuvim, we're always standing before the king. Just we're not required to feel it because it's not revealed. So the time of davening is the time when the Eibush is revealed. That's a time. Same thing Shabbos, Yom Tif. These are times when the Shekhinah, when godliness is more revealed. It's just like you have times which are more special, there are places in the world which are more special. There's a shul, a Beis HaKnesses, a Beis HaMedrash. In the Beis HaKnesses itself, the Aron Kodesh. In the Aron Kodesh, the Sefer Torah. There's different levels. You have Eretz Yisrael, is the holiest land. In Eretz Yisrael, Yerushalayim. In Yerushalayim is the Beis HaMikdash. In the Beis HaMikdash, there's different levels. As is Yisrael, as is Koyanim, Kodesh, Kodesh HaKadoshim, Makim Ha'aron. We go further and further up in Kedusha.
The shul is Mikdash Me'at.
Mikdash Me'at, right?
But that's why I think there's a din. If you have to sleep in a shul, you're not supposed to. But if you have to, you should go away from Aron Kodesh. I think it says.
Yeah, not a far Aron Kodesh.
What's above the Aron Kodesh? They can't build a bedroom above the Aron Kodesh.
Right. The big problem. It's a big shaila already. The Taz. Today we see a lot of people do it, but the Taz talks about in Shulchan Aruch that it's a big sakana for someone to live on top of a shul. And Maisa, there is big limud schos about why people who are makel with this. A lot of shuls, the Rav lives on top or something. This is common.
They won't put the bed over.
They won't put the bedroom over. But still, in all the very fact that it's to live on top, it's an issue. But there's ways how the place can deal with it.
There's no space thing. It's just let's say it's 10 stories up.
Well, maybe if that whole area is no one's living in that whole area on top, it's not an issue. What's the space issue? If it's another floor, maybe there is. Maybe if it's a different floor.
Another question I asked my Rav Shabbat about learning Torah on this Shabbos coming, which is after Shabbat. I know there's some customs that people only learn. Well,
when
he
it
said it's okay for try to be whatever. So he possibly like that. I don't know.
The Shulchan Aruch, the Svardim, they only midin Kabbalah, meaning the Tanakh over here, the Navi, you're not allowed to learn on Tisha B'Av. You're not allowed to learn on Tisha B'Av Torah, because Torah Pikudei Hashem Yisharim V'Sam Chalev. Learning Torah makes it you're only allowed to learn. You're not potter from Limud Torah. You're chayiv in Limud Torah on Tisha B'Av. Just you're not allowed to learn about things that are happy. Most of the Torah makes us happy. We're allowed to learn the parts about Yirmiyah, talks about the Churban, or the Gemara in Gittin, which talks about Eicha, Eov. If you learn Eov, there's plenty what to learn in Eov. It's a very big sefer. So if you want to learn all the things you're allowed to learn on Tisha B'Av, it could take you a very long time.
But today they have programs, they have this.
The question is before Tisha B'Av, Erev Tisha B'Av. The Ramah writes that from Chatzos, the minig is from Chatzos and on, Erev Tisha B'Av you should not learn. So later minig, it's not clear where the source of the minig is. So the Iker Halach is just on Tisha B'Av, but the minig is, at least amongst Ashkenazim, that they do not learn from Erev Tisha B'Av from Chatzos and on. That applies this year as well on Shabbos, that any shiurim or anything are done before. Those that usually say Pirkei Avos after Tisha B'Av, after Mincha don't say Pirkei Avos this week. They push it off to next Shabbos. And however, the Mishnah Berurah does say like this, even though he's not going to Chas v'Shalom argue with the Ramah, but since there are Sfarim that say they don't understand the source of the Ramah, and from their perspective, when you're dealing with something like Bittul Torah, we shouldn't be makel, so people should learn. So he says, if people are going to sit around and waste time, and then they're just going to be chatting and taking leisure walks on Erev Tisha B'Av, it's talking about any Tisha B'Av, not only Dafka Erev Tisha B'Av on Shabbos. He said, they're playing cards, whatever it is. So he says, then better learn. Better to learn on
What
Tisha
can you
B'Av.
learn? What can you learn on Saturday?
Well, he means Api Halacha, you're allowed to learn. You're supposed to learn the Maseches Gittin. There's a few blot in Parak and Zakin which talk about exactly the Korban Bayi Sheni occurred. Whole story there. Kamsa by Kamsa.
Related to Tisha
few
B'Av.
blot.
Items related to Tisha
Exactly.
B'Av.
Halachos you're allowed to learn.
That's not a problem.
That's not a problem at all. But what happens if someone feels doesn't have a cheshik to learn those in Yanim, and instead he's going to be sitting and wasting his time and saying Lashon Hara? So says the Mishabura, if that case, better learn.
How about Tehillim?
Because remember, it's only a minig. On Tisha B'Av itself, he's not going to come to say that.
What about Chitat?
What about
The Lubavitcher Rebbe said over when he was younger that he remembered that he one time found his Malamed. He was a Litvish, a Lithuanian. It wasn't until Lubavitcher Malamed that he had at this point. He found him learning on Tisha B'Av. He discovered him learning on Tisha B'Av. So he told him, he went in. I don't know if he said, but Malamed Radovich told him that Besim is l'shmaisim ifadem. Better they should whip me for this when I go upstairs than for other things. And he was looking at Tisha B'Av. They say about the Rogatchover Goyin of Yosef Rosen. Yosef Rosen, the famous Rogatchover Goyin in Europe, when he had a yard site around Tisha B'Av time. So the famous story where he went back to his town of Rogatchov, when he was born as a child, he went to Rogatchov for the yard site, the cave of his father. And when he came there, it was Tisha B'Av. When Rogatchover went anywhere, it was only Torah. He lived a brief Torah mamish, like in a level that doesn't exist today and didn't exist for maybe 1,000 years. It was unbelievable to Rogatchover. So the people, when he came to town, everyone talked to him and learning. Tisha B'Av for the Rogatchover was a very normal day. It was regular learning. There was no discussion anything about. They say that his uncle, he had an uncle there who said to him, Rabbi Yosef, it's Tisha B'Av today. So he right away said out of Yerushalmi. Yerushalmi says that talks about what happens if someone is in the bathroom and you're not allowed to think Torah in the bathroom. But what happens if he's going to think machshava zaras or something else? So the halach is you're allowed to think Torah even in the bathroom. That's going to save you. And the Gemara says a lashon there, la'oinsi shani. If it's an oinus, it's different. If someone has an oinus, he can't help himself but learn. It's different. So they say about different gedolim when they came out from the Beis HaKisi, you saw on their face it was strained, holding themselves back from learning. By the Rogatchover, it was mamash oinus. He couldn't help it. He couldn't help it. He couldn't help it.
We don't learn here.
It's not for us. We're not at this level. Yeah. We're just talking about. He was on a whole different level. For him, it's like an oinus. It's like someone who doesn't feel well. For him, if he didn't learn Torah, he can get sick. This is mamash gehem chayenu. He couldn't breathe anything. There was only one letter in his life that he wrote that had no Torah in it. Even when he wrote his family letters, anything he did, he could not hold himself back from connecting it to Torah. If he wrote a date, he right away had to find a medrash, Yishalmi, a Toys, something where it mentions something about that date. Anything he mentioned, he had to mention somewhere. There was one time he saw an address. The address was written like upside down or something. So he wrote a circle there and he wrote next to it, Ayin B'chayris, Maseches B'chayris. No one knows what he wanted in Maseches B'chayris. But something over there about the address upside down. So whatever he saw by him right away, his thinking was, where can I see this in Torah? There was one letter he wrote was regarding in the United States. There was a so-called rabbi in the conservative movement was trying to make changes in Kiddushin, and they wanted that maybe the husband should already, in order to make sure a get is given, so the husband should write a get right after the marriage, b'shas Kiddushin. He should have a get ready and give it to a shliach. And in case to give a get, the shliach will give a ganza maisa. So the Rogatchover wanted to make it very clear this is mamash aser, but he didn't want to write a pilpul, because you write a pilpul, a big discussion. People think it's up for discussion. And it's not up for discussion. This is aser. So he was the only thing he wrote without any Torah in it. It was a short, concise letter. Wrote that this thing is. I saw what this rabbi wrote. He said it's mamish tusim v'havalim. It's narishkeit in what he writes, and it's 100% Aser, and the lady is Mamasha, she's an Eisha Sish, and the get's not a get. He wrote a very clear. They point out that letter itself, he passed in the 30s, that letter itself, even though there was no Torah written in it,
but the letter was about Torah.
It was about Torah, it was about an Isser, but every word in the Torah, every word in the letter that he wrote it with, he was using different words that I mentioned in Gemara and Chazal. He used the wording of Chazal to build up the building of his letter. He couldn't go away from Torah. Everything was Torah. There's one letter was interesting. It was letter of someone who sent a book to the Rebbe once years ago. The Rebbe was very into the Rogatchover. The Olam knows. The Rebbe liked the Rogatchover's Torah. There's actually a few letters that he wrote to him. He wrote a few letters to the Rogatchover. We have the answers from the Rogatchover to the Rebbe on a few issues. Lamaisa, he forgot my train of thought, but he was anyways, that was the Rogatchover. Come to me soon. Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt you, but I'd like you to include, if you wouldn't mind, since this is a Rosh Hashanah and we're learning Devarim, how is Devarim connected? Mamish, we're reading Devarim on Tisha B'Av. What's the connection? There has to be a connection.
Right. Well, the beginning of Devarim talks about Moshe starts off his talk, right? Devarim is Mishnah Torah. Mishnah Torah means Shoina Torah, repeating over the Torah. Now Moshe is talking. Moshe is talking and telling over to the Yidden, talking about all the occurrences, what happened in the past before he's nifter. And Moshe starts to give them Musar at the very beginning of Chumash Devarim, reminding them about the Egel Azav and this Aveira and that Aveira. He does it very gently, but he reminds them that we have to remember what our Aveiras are. When we come to Tisha B'Av time, it's the time for us to do tshuva and to remember what we say in Musaf davening on Yom Tov. We say Mipnei Chata'enu Galinu Ma'atzenu. Because of our sins, we are put into Gullus. L'maisa, the only way we can leave the Gullus is when we have to do tshuva, we have to do more mitzvahs. That's the way. Gullus is because of our chatoim. This leads me to what I wanted to say about the Rogatchover, which is all parenthetical. We'll get back to Tisha B'Av. L'maisa, there was the Zionist movement in Europe, and a lot of the Gedolei Yisrael were not happy with it. It was mainly it was a big push from the secular Zionists, but then there was also the religious Zionist movement that also felt that we'll have to go to Eretz Yisrael, and this is the beginning of the Geula. And the Gedolei Yisrael felt that no, the Geula is not it's not the way the Geula is going to come. It'll come through Torah and mitzvahs, and it's not about a nationalism, and not about the language of nationalism. Although there was a large contingent from people, Mizrahi, and from a Zionist. Lamaisa, there was someone who was a very big kanoi, a big zealot against Zionism, and he published a book years ago with a whole bunch of letters of Gedolei Yisrael against Zionism, and he sent it to the Rebbe. In this book, there was a letter supposedly from the Rogatchover Goyen of Yosef Rosen against Zionism. Now the Rebbe also, the Lubavitch Rebbes also were against the concept of Zionism, understandably. But when the Rebbe got the book, the Rebbe wrote back to this person, this letter, it might even be more than one letter, is not from the Rogatchover. This letter you have, there was a bunch of Gedolei Yisrael in there, 10, 20 accumulation letters, but this letter you published in Rogatchover is not from the Rogatchover Goyen. Person writes him back, how could he say such a thing? It's from the Rogatchover Goyen. So the Rebbe writes back to him, the style of this letter is written is so foreign to the Rogatchover. It's not possible that the Rogatchover write his letter. To the point where the Rebbe said, Afilu Yavei HaRogatchover Ba'atzmai. Even if the Rogatchover will come himself and say, today, I wrote this letter, no one will believe him. Wow. And he said, like it says, there's such a language that we say in Chazal, Afilu Yavei Eliyo. Even if Eliyo is going to come and tell us, we're not going to listen to him. There's a Lashon Chachamim say, We know this is the halacha and this is the minig, and even Eliyahu is going to come and tell us Torah le'b'shemayim he. We know this minig Yisrael. So the language is so strange that the Rebbe picked up right away. This cannot be. He couldn't write differently. This is who he was. He wasn't able to write such a letter. And I took a look at the letter. It's very obvious. This letter is not a letter that he would have written at all. A style of the letter. It was anyone. And he's getting back to the halachas. The ma'isa, the minig is ikra halachas Tisha B'Av itself is also we don't learn chitas on Tisha B'Av. We learn it at night. Tehillim is not a problem to say Tehillim.
No, it's not a problem.
Thank you.
Say Rashi and
I'm going to say the whole
I
thing.
forgot you. It's not forgot.
Even after Chatzot, some people say maybe you could say the Chumash of the day after davening. If you always say it after davening, so it's part of the davening, like you say Tehillim after davening, you say the Chumash after davening. Some people say you could. Those that learn the Rambam for sure, it's only at night. At night. Tehillim again, not as a limud. If you want to, not as learning Tehillim, as saying Tehillim, as a tefillah, you could daven. Not learning. Someone I heard when I was in yeshiva years ago. So I remember one of the Magid Shiurim told the Rosh Yeshiva that he listened that Tisha B'Av. He listened to a Gevaldike drasha from Rabbi Soloveitchik from Yeshiva University on Kinus, a Gevaldike drasha that he gave on the Kinus of the Tisha B'Av. So the Rosh Yeshiva said, "That's for sure, Aser. That's such a geschmacka thing. That's for sure, Aser. Such a big simcha."
So Tanya, you wait till the night to say it?
Even halachas that we learn, that you're allowed to learn halachas Tisha B'Av, you're not allowed to learn with a pilpul. You're not allowed to learn an enjoyable limit. It's just to learn dry halachas. But to someone to make a whole pilpul and to make a whole geschmack limit about it, it's mesameach already. So even that's not all. Even if it's in a.
But isn't it a joy to say Tehillim? Don't we get tremendous pleasure when we praise Hashem?
With some more than what's Asr, we're not going to ask. Whatever is Asr is Asr. There is an enjoyment, but there's more enjoyment when you learn. There's more. Most people find more of a taina when they learn. It's only to a certain point, you know.
Should Tanya be pushed up to the night like Rambam?
L'chora, better to probably say chid, except for Tehillim. Tanya l'chora also.
Can you connect?
Push it up.
Yeah.
Can you connect the 9th of to Rosh Hashanah? Is there any connection?
I'm sure there is.
Because we're going from such a
Low point.
to such a
Yeah, you know, this year, by the way, is a little more lenient when it comes to certain issues. Because Tisha B'Av is a nitcha this year, it's pushed off. We're actually fasting the 10th of Av. You should know the Gemara, there's machloikis, what day Tisha B'Av should be observed. Some say Tisha B'Av, some say Rabbi Yochanan said Yud Av. Yud Av. The reason for this is like this: the burning of the Beis Hamikdash started on Tisha B'Av. At the closer to the evening, the ending of the day. Most of the Beis Hamikdash was burned on Yud Av, second day. However, the Chachamim feel that the beginning is of the beginning of all our troubles. That's the worst. The beginning of the fire, that was the beginning of the end. That's when we're supposed to have the mourning. Even though later on it burnt into, that's burning in, that's later on. It's like when you shoot the arrow. The Chachamim say you go from when the arrow was when it went left the bow. That's when you start. That's when you observe the mourning. The Yochanan no. The Iker is the actual burning, and majority of the actual burning was already on Yud Av.
Can you
into
mark
the
me
night
2
of
days?
Yud Av.
Can you mark me Tet and Yud?
Even Lagabi Yom Kippur, where most people were not machmir. The Shulchan Aruch discusses it.
Yeah, because it's Ma'atu Adorot. Every generation going down and down. We're not so strong like years ago. Maybe years ago in the time of the Talmud.
No, not. We don't go back. You should not. It's like when once a halacha is already paskind in Gemara itself, someone is going to go find an opinion in Gemara to do something different, even if it's a chumrah, doesn't smell good, because we know Chacham Paskin, we're going to accept it. Even someone being machmer, in the Tzedukim, tell you an example, the Tzedukim,
said you can't have a neighbor.
They were the ones that only believed in Torah Shebeksav. There were certain things that they were more machmer than we were.
Fire and Shabbos.
But Chazal Dafke said that wherever they're machmer, we Dafke are makel. Meaning you're allowed to be machmer, but we want you should Dafke be makel to show Lahoitzi min liban shal tzedukim, to show that we don't hold the tzedukim. They would Dafke make the paraduma, the kelim of the paraduma. The paraduma was allowed to be used with someone was tamei tful yoim. Kelim, or a person was tamei tful yoim, means he was a tful yoim. He became tamei. He toivel that day, but he has to wait for the evening harei shemesh to become totally tar. He needs So if he just had the mikvah, the tzedukim held, that's not enough. He's still tamei when it comes to the paraduma. You can't use those kelim for the ashes or the water or spring those koyanim that are tful yoim. Can't be involved in purification of the paraduma. But Chazal wanted to show that that's not true. That's kosher, and therefore they dafke went and were tama all the kalim and make sure everything was tamei, and they went to the mikvah. But it was before the evening, so they weren't fully tahor yet, and that's the Chazal that they wanted to show dafke we don't hold it tzedukim. Not only that, the fact that the Tzedukim said that Machras HaShabbos doesn't mean the second day of Pesach. The Shabbos over here meant literally Shabbos. So the Chazal would Dafke make everything should be done 3 times. You have to pick up the sickle, the magel, and say, Magel zeh, what is this? A magel. Show everyone we're Dafke clear that.
Also, lo tevaru esh b'chol moshlo b'chol Shabbat.
Yeah.
It's a lo tevaru esh, so that's
why we have cholent. Why are we makbid to have a hot food on Shabbos day, a hot cholent or something else hot?
Right.
Because the Tzedukim said you're not allowed to have a fire. Not only you're not allowed to make a fire, you're not allowed to have a fire existing on Shabbos, a flame. So to show specifically that that's not the issue, we dafka make sure, if we could, to have a hot food on Shabbos. The Chazal say that if someone does not, the Rishonim bring it out, that someone who does not have a dafka, does not want to have a hot food on Shabbos day, we check after him to see if he's a min.
Wow.
I mean, these days we don't have tzedukim around, but it was like those days. If someone was dafka not eating cholent, we want to go really know what he really believes and what are his beliefs.
But
you know, Shulchan Aruch said if you can't have hot food, it bothers you. You don't have to have hot food, but someone who has no reason.
Doesn't have to be cholent. Anything hot. He has a hot tea.
Right.
That's good too.
And the chanami. And the chanami. Kimuvan also, if someone punk didn't have, it doesn't mean that.
Yeah.
But that was where the minute came from. That we dafka make sure to have a flame on Shabbos and to have something hot on Shabbos.
What's the difference between Perushim and Tzedukim?
The Perushim is us.
The Chazal.
Perushim is Chazal.
Yeah, Mishnah was Perushim and Tzeduk. Somebody who has to.
No, they have Tzedukim.
The amount. Same amount. Like
You're thinking of the Asiyah.
Same amount.
That's a third group. Also,
Yeah.
we have the Perushim is the good. No good.
Yeah. I think they say you can take a little mash of schnapps cups once every 7 minutes or so, like let's say.
Or if you have a piece of good chalk.
Anyway, whoever's any shilas from about fasting, especially women or younger people, so they should, or older people should definitely ask a rub before, especially this year. It's a Tisha B'Av nitcha. It's a push of Tisha B'Av.
But in general, when it's nitcha, it's much linear to sick people or to a woman pregnant when it's a nitcha, because it's not beyomo. So in general, I think everybody's.
There are a lot of ladies that are meko by all the other tanesim, that if they are pregnant or nursing, they don't fast. However, Tisha B'Av, they are makbid to fast, even in such a kviyas. In the the Gemara, I'll tell you something interesting. The Gemara says, based on a pasuk, the pasuk says that Yamim Elu Yiu L'Sasein. Remember the lashon of the Gemara of the pasuk is that these days are tzoymus, and then the Gemara says L'Sasein L'Simcha. So the pasuk. So the Gemara asks, are they days of Sasan and Simcha, or are they fast days? What is it? So the Gemara explains like this. In the time, Bizman Shiyei Shalom, when there is Shalom in the world, it's Sasan and Simcha. These days are happy days. When there is Shmad, it's times of Xeris, decrees against Yidden. then these days are tzoymas, the days we have to observe as tzoymas. What happens is in between? We don't have yet shalom. Shalom means the Beis HaMikdash, the Gula. We don't have the Gula. On the other hand, it's not a time of Gzeiros and Shmad. We're in the middle. So B'zman she'ein Shmad ve'ein Shalom. What's the halacha? The Gemara says Ratzu Misanin, Ratzu Misanin. If you want, you can fast. If you want, you don't have to fast. This the Gemara says. The Gemara in Tainus. L'maisa, the Rishonim already record that the minig is that Ratzu, Chazal, Yidden accepted upon themselves to fast, even in times it's up to Klal Yisrael. So Klal Yisrael accepted upon themselves to fast. But comes out that the fasting is only a minhag, according to that, because it's a minig that the Bnei Yisrael took upon themselves to fast. But Midivrei Kabbalah, meaning Midivrei Hanavim, there's no chiyuv to fast, because it's not as man sheyesh shmad. Only bezman sheyesh gzeir v'shmad, it's a chiyuv from the Nevi'im, from the Navi to fast. So it's a minig. So Lamaisa today, one way of approaching the Tanesim today is by saying that it's a minig, it's a very strong minig. It says strong lashonis. No one should break this minig. Pirates gather yishachanu nachash, but Lamaisa it's a minig. So there's more room for a rav to be makel, right? When it would be mizman sheyesh shmad or gzeiras, this would be mamish, be real tzoymas, real fast days, mitivri neviim. So it'd be much more chamer. However, there are some achrayim that hold that even today it's Medivrei Kabbalah. There's different opinions about it. Some say Shmad and Gzeira doesn't have to be in all of Klal Yisrael. Even there's somewhere in the world that there's Gezeiris, it's a problem. So let's say if we, I don't know, but in Eretz Yisrael, right? When you have such problems in Eretz Yisrael, we have a lot of, or maybe in Iran,
Yeah, but
or definitely when Russia was around.
Right.
So you could say it's man sheyesh gzeira shmad ba'olam.
Cuba.
So do you go by each country?
Well, you go by the code. You go by
Do you go by Roiv? So this is a big discussion. Back and forth. Achrayim. So there are some achrayim that want to taina that even today, even if you're living in a place where there's no shmad, but be'etzem it could still be a chiyuv de kabbalah.
And you think there's nothing in New York, Rabbi? What about the thing on
the whole
Pizza they
Right.
had?
Yeah.
And then recently they had this whole thing about bris.
Right.
It's here. It's right
Yeah.
here.
I know we have a lot of anti-Semitism and issues going on.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right here in New York.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
I heard yesterday a shir on the radio from Israel, Rabbi Yitzchak Cohen, was talking about the 12 Shvatim. He said that we don't know where the 10 Shvatim. We know only Yehuda and Binyamin and Chatzi Shevet Menashe. He said Yehuda is the Ashkenaz, Binyamin is Sfaradim, and Chatzi Shevet Menashe is Kohanim and V'im. And we know that 10 Shvatim is after Nahar Sebastian. And he said, in Nahar Sebastian, these 10 Shvatim divided for 3 groups. One is in, one is all the way in, and one cloud over them. In Shevet Dan. And he has everything. Rav Yitzchak Cohen. Go to the website. It's unbelievable.
Kanim Levim from Menashe. I understand.
This way, according to what he's saying everything.
Kanim and Levim are from Levi.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Shevet Levi.
Now,
It's unbelievable.
So
it is mind-boggling.
now, we were mentioning earlier. So this year we don't need to know the dinim of the Sudim Afsekis because we don't. It's on Shabbos. The Gemara actually, the Chazal actually say you're allowed to have mamash a Suda like Shloimeh had. Shloimeh had in Shloimeh's time, Shloimeh Melech, a big Suda you're allowed to have because it's Shabbos. Shabbos is no Avelis. And the reality is that both Shabbos and the day of Tisha B'Av and because it's a nitcha, it's pushed off. Both Tisha B'Av is not as strong, and the day before is not as strong. Both of them in the different minhagim and chumas are a little bit weaker because each one is not on the actual day. It's not the actual day.
How does Shaykh we should mark it on the learning Torah on Shabbos, And then we say you should have a Suda, mamish like Shleiman. The Rebbe emphasized on Shabbos, make sure even before.
I'll tell you, there's a very big difference. The way is like this. Just like when someone, Rahman al-Tzlan, is an oval during Shiva, and has an Avelos, and comes Shabbos is the middle of the Shiva, get up and they walk around to shul like regular. Yeah. Everything's normal. Yeah. But private things privately, they have to keep Avelos. That means like this. Learning, if they're expected to learn right now, and everyone's expecting the person, let's say the person's a Rav of a shul, and he gives a drasha every Shabbos, a shir. If he doesn't give his shir, it's Avelos b'fehesya. You're not allowed to have public Avelos. So he doesn't give his shir, it's Avelos b'fehesya. So he has to give the shir. So the Maisa is, there was the Isser is on Tisha B'Av, Shechal is b'Shabbos, the halacha is you're not allowed to do public Avelos. Means when I'm not learning, no one sees I'm doing something Avelistic. I'm not learning, it happens to be I'm not learning now. Yeah. If I'm supposed to be doing something, I'm not doing it, so I'm showing Avelos. But if I didn't have a set kvias of something, then I'm not necessarily showing an Avelos.
So you're saying a Rav shouldn't cancel the shir?
We do cancel like a form those things on Erev Tisha B'Av. Erev Tisha B'Av more makbid, but things that are you have a suda, you have a nice suda.
Okay.
As long as privately, as long as you do everything like normal on every Shabbos.
It says Zmiros, it's everything.
Everything's Zmiros regular. You're not supposed to make that last suda like invite people over and make it special. Eat it like a normal suda. But you're not supposed to come and make a big simcha. Oh, it's my Yom Haledes, my birthday, and invite everyone over. That you're not supposed to do because you're not showing. You don't have to do that. By not doing that, you didn't show you're an Avelos on Shabbos. You're doing regular. Do regular. You sit with the family, but you don't do something extra special. Then there was the Rebbe's father in his city. There was an oval during Shiva that year. He always went to shul with like slippers, whatever it was, something that you're allowed to wear for an oval. That's how he wore the whole year. And now when he came to when he was going to come to shul that Shabbos during his Avelos of Shiva, so the Rebbe's father, Rebbe Levi Yitzchak, who was the Rav in the city, told him not to do that because people might think someone who doesn't realize that he always wears those shoes might think he's wearing those shoes because he's in the middle of Shiva, he's an oval. So you should dafka on that Shabbos wear your regular shoes. There shouldn't come out any issue of Avelos b'fehesya.
Yeah.
I was one time Shusham Purim by a big by a Rosh Hashiva who Nebuch, he was sitting Shiva, and it was Shusham Purim. It was Shusham Purim, yeah. So Lamaisa on Shusham Purim you don't do Avelos publicly. So he was sitting. He's not allowed to learn, but he doesn't learn because that's not publicly. You don't learn. He sits regular. So I asked him if I can ask him a shayla learning. He said he can't talk learning, but if you ask me, he says I'm going to have to answer because otherwise it's going to be Avelos b'fehesya. I'm doing public Avelos by not answering.
Oh, wow.
You have to always think, the cheshbon. Yeah.
How should we be kodeya sudat masek on the Shabbos? Like, let's say I wash. It's 1 o'clock. Now I'm still on the table. It's 5 o'clock. And do we say the kapazon? Then we eat it, and then how should we do?
Well, by that time already, you must probably you want to eat another meal before 8 o'clock, whatever the shkia is going to be 8 o'clock, right?
Do you have to eat bread? No, can you say this so it's masek and then just eat
shalosh shodas, regular shalosh shodas,
regular
shalosh shodas.
You don't have to sit with mazon first and then make a hefsek and then say this is
Well, yeah, you should for shalosh shodas. You should do it. You should do it because anyways, also for shalosh shodas you have to do it. You cannot show any. No, you shouldn't do it as sudam of seconds, but you could do it for shalosh shodas. Shalosh shodas you could bench and wash because you need to have a separate meal. Shalosh shodas need to have a separate meal for shalosh shodas.
Separate meal, so you
have to bench again. Yeah.
So you bench before.
Yeah.
And then you say it. When you say this, so that you shouldn't even say it.
No. It's not. Shabbos is no sudam of seconds. It's a regular.
You have a mincha anyway earlier.
It's a regular suda.
Mincha is earlier.
It's a regular. It's a regular suda.
You answered, we just put the answer that...
We can have it. You can have shiurim and learn all the halachos that we have to learn, or learn things in Eov and in the Gemaras that discuss different things in Yirmiyah. There is what to learn. It's not like those that have the minig of keeping Nittelnacht, where they don't learn that. They actually don't learn anything. That's a bigger chiddush. Tisha B'Av is a chi of Talmud Torah, kol rega v'rega. The chi of Talmud Torah, just only in those sections of Torah that are sad sections of the Torah. Nothing's Moed Katan. Moed Katan, the dinim of Avelos, the Gemara Moed Katan. Hilchas Avelos one can learn. All those dinim one can catch up on learn. Once in Lurkin Eev is how many prakim? 52, 3 prakim. It's a tremendous Eev, and it's very not easy to read Eev, so the language is very difficult, Lashon.
We have to read Parsha from the Torah.
In the morning, you're reading that before Chatzos. But yeah, Mincha, you read it like normal. If you don't read Mincha, then Mamash a real Avelis. You're not going to read Kriyas Torah by Mincha. Sure, you have to have Kriyas Torah.
And Rabbeinu Tam, just the same as every day. Put it on. We do it before you go to shul.
When Tisha B'Av?
Yeah.
Tisha B'Av itself, we don't put on tefillin in the morning, right? No talis tefillin in the morning. We don't say a bracha on our tzitzis in the morning. We also don't say shasani she'asali called sarki, because sarki refers to shoes, specifically to shoes. Huh?
We say Ha'arev no.
Yeah. Say all the birchas of Torah, because again we're mechuyev in limit Torah, so you say all the brachas in Torah like normal. Only thing you don't say is she'asali called sarki. You don't say a bracha on talis katan or talis gadol. You don't put on your tefillin until the afternoon by mincha. By mincha.
So mincha should say.
Yeah. Mincha you should put a.
Put in the morning?
Yeah. Well, if you all the brachas should be by mincha. No, because you're still not wearing shoes. Also, likot sarki you don't do until the next day because you're not wearing shoes till night. So also likot sarki you push it off till the next day.
You're supposed to wash your hands.
So we don't make havdalah till tonight. We don't make havdalah Matzah Shabbos. You can't make havdalah. So you know havdalah you're allowed to say until Tuesday night. Till Tuesday shkia, api halach, if someone didn't say havdalah, you're allowed to say. We spoke about in Shir here about.
Where do you say Atachon Antanu, no?
Buried in Eish, you could say right away, yeah.
But if you just say Atachon Antanu, is that enough?
Yeah, you say Bar Eish in Shul. In Shul, they usually make a Bar Eish in Shul after Eicha.
After it.
So when do you make Havdalah then?
Havdalah is Matzai Tisha, Sunday night. Sunday night, you make Havdalah, and again, we try to give it to a child if you have. If not, you drink yourself the wine.
It's regular Havdalah?
Why? But this year's already.
It's already the 10th.
Even this year it's already
9th. It's already the 10th. The 10th. After it's arrived, you're like
I don't think we wait till Chatzot the next day to take a haircut and stuff. Do we?
No. The truth is, this year you don't, but the night, you don't this year, Taka, because the nitch is pushed off, you're right, we don't keep the whole next day because it's already the 10th day till Chatzos, but that night, if I'm not mistaken, that night until Chatzos, you're not allowed to cut your hair or music, wash clothing, and no meat or wine that night. No, that night. Because this year it's different. Kvias. It's a nitcha. Yud Av is already.
Except for Havdalah.
Havdalah itself, Havdalah itself you can make. There's even a discussion in Paiskim. Some I want to say that once you start drinking the Havdalah, you could drink the whole cup. If you're allowed to drink part of it, you could drink the whole cup. Some want to time it. Hard for me to understand. L'chor, you should only drink just a revius, what you need to drink, not more. More than that is not the mitzvah. But there is some place that hold that you could even drink the whole cup.
You're sure the wine? What even?
No, you should lechatchila try to give it to a tinnik.
In the Lubavitch's minyanim, I've seen the person say a drink it wine.
I'll tell you, because it's very hard to really give that tinnik wine. Really, we don't want to give a child wine, right? So at the end of the day, you drink yourself. We hold it's better to drink wine than to make on something else and give to. So therefore, usually the issue is you don't want to give a child wine. The child's gonna.
I think it's
not gonna be good for the child, whatever. So you drink.
I think it's 770. The person have Havdalah, I think they drank. They didn't give it to me.
They started.
I came during the night. I
Again,
remember
if
shouting.
you can't give it to a tinnik, that's above the age of chinuch also. What do you tell you to do?
Every Pesach,
To drink? Drink the wine like regular.
every Pesach, Rabbi Tenenbaum used to give every boy, minors, a bottle of wine. Can you imagine today if you gave somebody in school?
They call the police.
Everybody else.
But don't tell the police that we give kiddush, kiddush. We find on one hand that the first Beis HaMikdash was on a higher level than the second Beis HaMikdash. Because there was the Urim V'Tumim, the Aron was there. On the other hand, we find the Navi says that God Bayis is Achim, and the second Beis HaMikdash was bigger. There was more time, and it was bigger in size. But we have to understand, what does it mean that Beis HaMikdash was bigger in size a little bit? So it was bigger in size a little bit. What does that mean? That's greatness? Greatness is, the Gadol says that it was a little bigger.
No,
What's
more,
the Gadol?
more space. You said it yourself.
Well,
More space.
Shechina. Oh, for the Shechina. But on the other hand, you had more of the Shechina in the Bayis Rishon.
All together.
Or on a Kodesh. So what's the chiluk?
see it.
What's the chiluk between the Bayis Rishon and the Bayis Rishon? Both were great. But why are we saying one is great than the other in different aspects?
Well, it was like the Aseret Adibra. The first set were very, very, very special. Second set were not quite as special.
We'll give an example, right? An example like this. If someone heard a great, unbelievable shir from a very big Rav, a very big Rosh Hashiva, it was unbelievable shir. A Gadol Yisrael, he said a shir, and you could chazer over the whole shir. It's gewaldig. Could you do that? Of course you cannot do it. You're far away from that. Now what happens when you yourself learn and prepare a shir? Tight of kaparas, you try to read, you learn, nothing compared. But what's takes you through more? When you work hard and you learn on your own, and you did your little bit of learning and you actually internalized it, and when you heard the greatest Rosh Hashiva of all times giving a shir. The answer is like this. When the biggest Rosh Hashiva gave the shir, you were spellbound. There was light in the room. The light was turned on. And you mamish saw unbelievable chidushim and Torah. But the shaila is, how much did it take you through? It's not yours, it's his chiddush. He explained it so nicely so you understood it. It was such a great revelation, such a great light. On the other hand, when Talmud himself, hearing the shir, he himself later on tries to learn on his own a different Gemara, a different sugya, he can't come up anywhere close. But what happens is he works hard and he comes up with something a little bit on his own. That little bit, there's no great light there, but that's his. It's not the Rosh Hashiva's, it's his Torah. It belongs to him. The first Beis HaMikdash, it was a very big light. We had the Urim V'Tumim, Ruach HaKodesh, there was the Aron. It was a very big Gilui HaShechina. But the mile of the second Beis HaMikdash was that we didn't have that great oil. But it had a godless from another perspective. Gadol Yeh Bayis Za'achim and Rishon, it's another perspective. The second Beis HaMikdash internalized the world more. That's why. What does world mean? What is the world made up of? We know there's a lot of objects in the world, but let's get back to the basics of everything. Everything is time and space. Zman and Makom. In this world, the world, Olam, is defined by time and space. Everything in this world can be defined either by time or by space. Those are the two definitions that make the world a world. Zman and Makom. The second Beis HaMikdash, true, it did not have that oir. Did not have that revelation that we experienced in the first Beis HaMikdash. It wasn't dazzling like the first Beis HaMikdash. But the second Beis HaMikdash was more internal. The Shekhinah really came down into the world. And that expressed itself in the fact that the Beis HaMikdash, the Gemara says, was bigger, the second Beis bigger in time, longer in time than the first Beis HaMikdash, and wider in the space of the Beis HaMikdash. The second Beis HaMikdash ate up more of the ground. There was more ground. It covered more ground and also covered more time and space. The second Beis HaMikdash internalized the world more. Another example, you have the concept of talked in many svarim the difference between a tzaddik and a Baal Tshuva. And a Baal Tshuva, we mean any one of us who really, we're all not the big tzaddikim, we all have our own averis, so we need to do tshuva, so we're all bebechinas Baal Tshuva. There's a difference between a tzaddik and a Baal Tshuva. A tzaddik lives his whole life, or yasher. It's a straight life, there's no sin, everything's good, clear, it's beautiful, it shines, it's brilliant, it's dazzling. But then there's the Baal Tshuva. He struggles, I fall, I had another michshel, a chait, I lift myself up again. So where is it shining more light by the tzaddik? The tzaddik, it's mama shining. By the Baal Tshuva, he taka did tshuva, but he doesn't have, it's not shining like by the tzaddik. But where does the tzaddik's light, where does he get it from? It's a light of a mila, special neshama. But the Baal Tshuva worked on himself. It's a person, a yid worked on himself hard, and he did tshuva. And that tshuva, it's not tshuva something that was given to him as a gift above. It's his. He did it on his own. It's his very own acquirement, his own king and his own acquisition. So it might not be that same level of or, the level of or there. The gili, the revelation might not be as much, but it's his. It takes him through more. When we talk about God, when Mashiach will come, the third Beis HaMikdash, the chiddush of the third Beis HaMikdash is going to be, we're going to have both qualities. A tzaddik doesn't have the mile of a Baal Tshuva, and a Baal Tshuva doesn't have what a tzaddik can get. They both have something the other one can get. They each have something the other one can get. As the Gemara says, Makim shebali tshuva eindim, ein tzaddikim gemurim yichol lamed. Even the total tzaddikim cannot reach to that level. There's an aspect about tshuva that tzaddikim can never reach, and there's something about tshuva's whole life is not going to be able to reach that clarity that the tzaddik has, that light, the pure light that the tzaddik has, that revelation, the purity. The third Beis HaMikdash is going to have both together. It's going to be the greatest light. On the other hand, it's going to be the greatest light, but it's going to take the world through and through. The world itself is going to be a changed place. The time and the space, the Zman HaMakim is going to become differently. When a Talmud heard the Rosh Hashiva shir, it was beautiful, and he walked out of the shir, he can maybe repeat the shir over if he's a good student. But he's not going to be able to do the same thing the Rosh Hashiva did when he comes to another sugya. So it's still dark by him. When he chazes the Rosh Hashiva shir, it's not his shir, it's the Rosh Hashiva shir. Because he's not the Rosh Hashiva. The same thing when you have in the world, the Lakus, Hashras Hashchina comes in this world in the Beis HaMikdash. The world is not, the world is a dark place. The world is a Olam HaGashmi. It's Olam HaChoshech. It's not a place, a Keli for Kedusha. So it's a flood of light that comes down, but the world itself, what is the world itself? It's a dark place. When the sun shines during the day, did the world is lit up, you could see everything. Did the world change? When the sun sets at night, then the world remains dark. The stone didn't become lichtig, didn't become lit. The world remains what it was. When the sun is shining, it's lit, light. When there's no sun, it's not light. The first Beis HaMikdash, the light was shining. It was an unbelievable light, but it wasn't the world's light. The second Beis HaMikdash is where the revelation of Halachos was actually coming into the world itself. The world itself was starting to change. And that's why the Zman HaMakim was greater. It took up more time and more space in the first. And the third, we're to have both milas. Of the mila of having the Gilim al Mila, having the great Or, on the other hand, the Or will take through the world and take through the Tachton itself. We say in a pasuk, it says in Yeshayav, and we read it on Shabbos after we take out the Sefer Torah. It says, "V'nigla kvoid," when Mashiach's going to come, "V'nigla kvoid Hashem," the honor, the glory of Hashem is going to be revealed. V'nigla. Then the pasuk continues on and says, "V'ro kol basar yachtav." All of flesh, all of mankind will see the revelation. So the Rebbe asks, very interesting in a Maimer, he says, there's two parts to this pasuk. The first part says, "V'nigla kvoid Hashem," the godliness is going to be revealed. So why did the second half of the pasuk have to say, "V'ro kol basar yachtav," that everyone will see? Of course, if godliness is revealed, everyone's going to see. If the light's on, everyone sees. So what's the two parts of the pasuk? If there's a Gili Kvoid Hashem, obviously everyone's seeing it. Alamai, there's two stages. There could be a Nigla Kvoid Hashem. We see the Kavod of Hashem. But it's really more like the Kvoid Hashem is being shown to us. But we ourselves are not seeing it. By Matan Torah, we all saw the Nigla Kvoid Hashem. But after the Shechina went away from Matan Torah, we stayed the same way we were. It says by Matan Torah, by Kriyas Yamsuf, it already says, Ras HaShivcha Hayom, a maidservant saw Mashaloi Ra Kol HaNeviim. One gives says Cheskel Navi, all the Neviim. A maidservant saw a revelation of godliness by Kriyas Yamsuf that the greatest Naviim didn't see. What did that mean? After Kriyas Yamsuf was over, that maidservant, that maid, did she suddenly become the madreg of a Navi? No. She stayed a maid, a simple maid. She didn't understand any connection to godliness. What happened at Kriyas Yamsuf? Hashem showed a great revelation, so she saw. But it wasn't her working. She's not a Navi. She became a Navi for a minute. Is she a Navi? She's not a Navi. The godliness was superimposed and showed to her, and everyone saw the godliness. But once the Gili went away, Yamsuf went, Kriyas Yamsuf went away, Matan Torah went away, we're back to ourselves, and we could Chayta Egel, we could go weiter. Regular life goes on. That's the Chiddush L'Asalavi. It's not only going to be the Nigla Kvoid Hashem, it's not going to just be revelation of the Kvoid Hashem. The pasuk continues on, V'ro kol basa yachdu. Just like our physical flesh, our eyes see physical things, our eyes then will naturally see godliness. Naturally. When the Matan Torah didn't naturally see godliness. That's why when Matan Torah was over, you're allowed to go on Har Sinai. There is no Kedusha to Har Sinai. It will be a very interesting and historical find if we find out the actual mountain Har Sinai, and some people claim they did find it, right? But there's absolutely no Kedusha to Har Sinai. It's just like a nice historical event, but place. There's no Kedusha to it. Why is there no Kedusha to it? Such a great Gili happened. Very simple. The Kedusha was all Mamayla. It came from above to below, but the world itself didn't change. After all these years in Gullus, why is this Gullus longer than the other Gullus? Because this Gullus, we need to do more mitzvahs and more Maisim Toivim to more refine the world. And we're slowly, we can't see it now with our eyes, but the world is being changed. And the world is slowly being changed. Every single mitzvah and Maisim Toivim that we do. And when we'll come Mashiach, that will all be revealed. All the work that we've been doing through all this Mana Gullus, we'll see why this Gullus came about. Why do we have this whole Gullus? Well, Gemara says Tisha B'Av is a time that Noilad Mashiach. Mashiach was. What does that mean? Mashiach was born. The concept of Mashiach, as soon as there was a Gullus, a Churban, Hashem already prepared the concept of Mashiach. The whole Gullus is here in order to bring to Mashiach. The whole Churban is to bring Mashiach. Alamaid, Hashem is it's a Jewish contractor. It's taking a very long time for the rebuilding, but it's we gotta hope this Tisha B'Av should be a sas and a simcha. We shouldn't have to fast. These days, it says, are going to be the happiest days. There's different tzaddikim and different vertlach to say. Some said that Shivasa B'Tammuz and Tisha B'Av are going to be like the first day and the last day of Pesach. And all the middle of 3 weeks are going to be like Chol HaMoed. That's how it's going to be when Mashiach will come. It'll be like Chol HaMoed. Another tzaddik said no. These days, all the days of the 3 weeks are going to be like Yom Tiv. The rest of the year is going to be like Chol HaMoed. And Amir Tashem will wait and see.